NewstalkZB, Canterbury Mornings with Chris Lynch. While the Redzone issue continues, as promised, I said I would catch up with Fiona McDonald, representing many of these Redzone owners, only getting 50% from the government for the value of their section. Good morning, Fiona.
Morning, Chris.
You met with Sarah officials yesterday. Who did you meet with?
Well, there was no Roger, but we did meet with 4 of the Sarah staff, including someone from the policy team and from the legal team. And they gave us a bit of an update. There was no real explanation of the change in thinking between the first paper and the last one, except that Jerry didn't like the idea of offering 100% to section owners and told Sarah to come back with other options. They told us that the decision to offer 50% was definitely associated with being uninsured, even though we had no choice, and that the government couldn't recover any insurance or EQC payment, which Sarah stated would probably be more than 50% of the offer cost in a lot of the cases. Jerry Brownlee has said no to extending the deadline for the offer as of yesterday, so it's very unlikely that he's going to change his mind to allow the petition and the complaint to the Auditor-General to be heard.
So then what's the point of your submissions going through to the so-called Select Committee hearing? There is no point, is there?
It just makes a mockery of those processes, which, we find is unbelievable. They believe that the offer is exceptionally generous and fair, and that Jerry Brownlee's happy to argue that in court. And again, that's very frustrating and disappointing for us, that there's just such a lack of compassion for the situation that the red zoning is putting the section owners in.
And this is what the Sarah officials told you yesterday. They think it's a very generous offer.
Exceptionally generous was their words, and fair.
Did you ask them if they're in a similar situation?
They wouldn't go into those details, of course. Yeah. It's just so frustrating. On one hand, Sarah is saying the offer's voluntary, they're not forcing anyone to take it, you can do what you like with your land. But in the very next breath, they're saying the whole zoning decision was based on the feasibility of obtaining consents to build or rebuild on those areas, which Sarah considered was pretty unlikely. And they said that if they hadn't done the red zoning, that the insurance companies would have gone through and you wouldn't have been able to get insurance anyway. And the council's not going to install new services. The council might not maintain the ones that are there. Sarah can acquire your property in the future if they have a use for it at a value that might be quite a lot lower than what the Crown offer is now. And we just continue to ask, how is that a voluntary offer and how can people make an informed decision?
Well, it's not voluntary, it's compulsory acquisition, isn't it?
Well, they are very careful to maintain that it is voluntary, but obviously when you put all of those statements beside it, it's very hard for section owners to see it as anything other than being really pushed into a corner. And that Jerry Brownlee and the national government are willing to force these families into court over a relatively small amount of money in the grand scheme of things, and the fact that no one in New Zealand can insure bare land is just unbelievable to us. They created the red zone, and we just believe that everyone inside its boundaries needs to be treated fairly and consistently.
Fiona, what are your options now?
Well, we'll continue to work on our written submission for the Select Committee because, that's part of the process, and we'll just hope that someone along the way listens to reason. And let's just hope that actually John Key will do the right thing, and at the very least extend the deadline so that these things can be followed through. Really go back and look at how you're treating people. It's getting so depressing and stressful. But we need to keep on fighting this decision because this whole family's future's at stake.
What is your message for Jerry Brownlee? I suppose the main message is, Fiona McDonald, please extend the deadline offer so you can go through all your options.
Absolutely, and go back and look at this offer. They created the red zone for a number of reasons around EQC liability and meeting the recovery principles that the government established. Look at those things and treat us consistently and fairly with how everyone else inside that zone has been treated. In Australia, after the Queensland floods, the government created a land swap scheme for the worst affected areas, and they treated bare landowners in exactly the same way as house owners. And that's all we're asking for. 100% of our land RV.
Fiona McDonald, I appreciate your time this morning. Look, we'll check back with you perhaps mid-next week and see how you're getting on. Don't forget, please give ZB a call if there's anything we can do to raise the awareness.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
What can you do on the new ZB iPhone app?
Puts my socks into pairs for me, gets my child dressed in the morning,
Wax my surfboard for me.
I love how it cooks dinner for me just like in the Jetsons.
And wait till you see the real whizzy stuff.
A little man jumps out of my iPhone and does my housework.
So keep up with your favourite radio station. Available now on iPhone and Android. NewstalkZB. Thanks to launch partner Harcourts. Global, national, local. You.